Boxing Truth here, back with another video. Make sure to smash that like button, subscribe, all that good stuff. Follow me on Twitter. Man, that Terence Crawford knockout got even the next generation of welterweights swerving the best welterweight in the world. They want none of that Crawford smoke after Crawford's 13th straight knockout victory in devastating fashion. It's crazy, man. Jerome Ennis, Virgil Ortiz have officially docked Terence Crawford. They don't even want first dibs on him. Terence Crawford dispatched of Devin Avanesian, which was a state busy title defense, and now most likely will have to fulfill a mandatory obligation sometime this year. Was given an 18-month reprieve by the WBO following his mandatory defense of Sean Porter when he knocked him out last year. So sometime this year, Crawford will have to make a mandatory defense, but now he has no mandatory challenger, no official one. Which new generation welterweight is gonna step up and fight Terence Crawford? Is it really going to be Conor Benn that's gonna have the stones to fight Terence Crawford after Virgil Ortiz has opted to fight for a regular title, in which he's only gonna get 25% of the purse? I'm not 100% convinced this fight happens. Stanionis, in my opinion, loses the fight. He stepped aside for this. He stepped aside and gave away his chance to Errol Spence just to get served up to Virgil Ortiz. I know Stanionis is a confident guy. He's undefeated. Not really, but Tua beat him. Got a gift decision there. But he's a confident guy. He feels he could win. But if I'm part of Stanionis' team, I am absolutely irate that someone, it was definitely Heyman, convinced him to step aside to allow a bullshit unification between Ugas, who didn't even beat an old Pacquiao, so Spence could get another strap in his ledger in the welterweight division. 3 divisions, but who really rates him as the best welterweight in the world? Can't even put a dent in lightweights. But he's going to beat Terence Crawford? Really? Now Jerome Ennis, he's actually number 2 for WBO. This is what it means when you're the number 1 contender, but you fight for another organization's belt. You get dropped from the mandatory position, or you get dropped from the rankings. Obviously, Golden Boy's team would rather not have Ortiz face Terence Crawford as his first title fight. It's just way too dangerous of a fight for Ortiz. Honestly, Ortiz don't beat Crawford right now. It's just too risky. He's a marketable fighter, a potential moneymaker. I don't think it's worth having Ortiz get possibly ruined and destroyed in his very first title shot against Terence Crawford, the best welterweight in the world. Why do that to the poor kid? Let him, this is the smart move for Golden Boy. They obviously feel that Ortiz is not ready yet for Crawford. They're going to want to wait a little longer, maybe until Crawford is around 37 years of age, and then maybe they take a chance. But this is a much more winnable fight for Ortiz. I believe he beats Stanionis. And they want to get their first dibs at Errol Spence next after that. They're a lot more confident in beating Errol Spence than they are in beating Terence Crawford, which is why they go on the WBA route. Jerome Ennis I don't know, man. Jerome Ennis is also going after Errol Spence. He also sees him as the weak link because he just took a fight for an interim title shot against this unknown Ukrainian guy, who I guess is rated by the IBF. Never seen him fight, never heard of him. He's never even fought in America. Never. So this also is it's not a questionable move. Obviously they get an IBF interim title shot, and Spence is most likely not going to fight him, and he becomes champion by default. That's the play here. But if you really want to prove that you're the real deal, or this boogeyman that everyone's seeing you are, Jerome Ennis, why not go after the big fish, man? the most dangerous fighter in the welterweight division. Everyone thinks you're ready for Terence Crawford. I don't think you are, at least not yet. It will be a very intriguing fight, explosive fight. Someone would get knocked the fuck out in this fight. It most likely would be Jerome Ennis. His team are not confident in taking that fight just now. They've also swerved a potential mandatory shot at Terence Crawford, and instead have opted to fight for an interim title against an unknown Ukrainian guy. I like Jerome Ennis. I love his style. I think he has a lot of potential, but he has one of the most weakest runs towards becoming a champion I've ever seen. I mean, he had to beat Sergey Lipinets leftovers to become mandatory. What kind of soft shit is that? Sergey Lipinets leftovers to become mandatory for the IBF. And now he's going to become champion by default because most likely Spence is not going to fight him. The politics of boxing are protecting Spence. The IBF is doing something unprecedented in their rules. They have actually allowed Spence not to make a mandatory title defense for 4 years of that IBF strap. And instead, he gets an easy title defense against a inactive has-been Thurman that they're gonna charge you to watch on pay-per-view, and we already know the outcome of that fight. It's amazing, man. Terence Crawford, at 35 years of age, is instilling fear of the new generation welterweights. They want those parts of him. They want the other guy with the 3 belts, but is the weakest link of the two. They see vulnerabilities. They see him getting rocked by a light punching Ugas. They don't see no explosiveness. He's going the distance with lightweights. Life and death struggles with Sean Porter and barely escapes with a victory. Pulled out of a Manny Pacquiao fight. All of a sudden, just pulls out of a Manny Pacquiao fight. Spence never pulled out, but just suddenly pulled out of the Pacquiao fight. And then the WBA strips Manny Pacquiao, even though they don't strip Lilo Santa Cruz. They stripped Manny Pacquiao and made him fight Ugas to fight for his own belt and robbed him of a victory. And Spence and PBC are getting their way, allowed to protect their assets because they're afraid they're going to get exposed. You know, if they fight the likes of this guy, or they don't want to see Spence get absolutely brutalized against Crawford. Crawford just fought and Spence still has no fight announced. It's most likely going to be Thurman. And that's the easiest fight for Spence at this stage. It's even easier than Stanionis. Stanionis will be a tougher fight for Spence than an inactive Keith Thurman. But man, these new cats don't even want the smoke. They don't want to go after the considered the number one fighter in the game. I mean, now that Canelo has lost and is not looking the same as he was a year ago, who's the best fighter in the world? I still will say it's Usyk, but Crawford's right up there, man. The longevity, the accomplishments, the knockout victories, the impressive victories. He's looking like a great fighter every time he fights. Errol Spence going the distance, and his freaking team are doing it, whatever it takes to make sure he doesn't have to fight a threat, man. They made sure he doesn't have to fight this guy for his next fight. The IBF is bending over backwards for the PBC, man. Virgil Ortiz and his team, they made their smart move here. They took a more winnable fight instead of becoming mandatory to Terence Crawford and most likely get KO'd and then possibly ruined. If they take that fight, they're going to wait till Crawford is a little older. Same thing with Jerome Ennis. They're going to wait till Crawford's around 37 years of age, and then maybe take a chance. He's too open for Terence Crawford. That chin would get wrecked. He's too aggressive, which I like, but he's wide open for a counterpuncher. Terence Crawford is the worst type of fighter to fight if you're a Jerome Ennis. Too shaky of a defense right now. I'm not sure that chin will hold up. I mean, what big puncher has he fought? He's fighting mostly junior welterweights as a welterweight. But man, Terence Crawford is the real boogeyman of the welterweight division. Despite his age, despite, he's up there. He's 35 years old. Still undefeated, still operating at a high level, and still instilling fear for the new generation welterweights. So it looks like Conor Benn is going to have the stones to step in there against Terence Crawford. I mean, the one thing you can say about UK fighters, a lot of them may not be elite, but they got bigger balls than most American fighters, that's for sure. Y'all let me know what y'all think. This is Boxing Truth. I'm out.